Yes, the altcoins I'm going to tell you about today are ones you likely own, especially if you watch this channel, and they are here to destroy our gains. We have massive events happening for these coins soon, and it's going to completely kill the projects, and it's going to remove any interest anyone's ever had in them, including me. Just want to pause you right there. That exact sentence has never been said before, but that is likely things that other people are saying. The coins I'm going to mention today, there's about 4 of them, maybe 5 of them, I can't quite remember, that have horrible token unlocks. And these are the coins mentioned by many people as to say, don't buy them because they have high FDV or the unlocks are coming up and it's going to kill the coin. Now, many of you, myself included, who understand how unlocks actually work, which is completely different to what happens in the real world with inflation and things like money printing, understand these things are nothing but chatter. It's crypto noise. It's crypto bros echoing things they heard from the previous crypto bro. But I'm here today to explain it to those of you who do not understand this. And hopefully, with the right mind, we can help teach this to other people and destroy all these crypto myths together. Because believe it or not, the 4 or 5 coins I'm going to mention today likely won't be purchased by people because of this. This is how serious this is, and this is why you need to understand it and help teach other people. What am I talking about here? Well, first of all, I want to introduce to you 3 of these 4 or 5 coins, the most prominent ones, first of all, and that's Celestia, Ondo, and Pth. Before I go any further, though, don't forget, guys, if you find yourself enjoying this video, hit that like button. We're here to try to educate the crypto space. We're here to try to provide the no BS truth in this industry. So make sure you help support what we do over here with a like and subscribe as well to be a part of that journey. Now, like I said, these 3 coins, Celestia, Ondo, Pth, quite obviously, this is the token unlock schedule. Now, I know you're going to be quite bored hearing this, but please spend the time to listen to this video. It's going to probably give you an advantage at worst, but I think at best give you an advantage plus also allow you to be just so much more confident in the market with your own research. Celestia, very, very soon, has a massive token unlock. Look at this thing. It's huge. We're going to tell you what that means in a second here with explanations. Also, Ondo has an even larger one. And Pth, well, Pth is not too bad, but as you can see, we're at the very, very start of what is a very long journey, to say the least. So high FDV, low float, high supply. These things are very scary. And again, if you own any of these coins particularly, we're also going to mention Layer 0 and Wormhole today as well. You're going to want to tune in, but again, this applies for every damn coin out there. Now, Near Protocol, I want to give you this example first of all, guys. Near Protocol, once upon a time, which, by the way, it's a very well-performing coin this cycle and was last cycle, okay? It went from like down underneath $1 and it over 20x actually, which is very, very good for a coin of this size, okay? In the last cycle, when it was down here, okay, guess what? Everyone was thinking to themselves, oh, the FDV is so extremely high, right? Well, back then the FDV was considering 1 billion tokens, not 1.2 because the extra 200 million inflation. So actually, if we get rid of the epoch rewards, over here, it was 1 billion tokens, right? So everyone was freaking out about the huge FDV. At least I wasn't really pulsing this back then, but I'm going to assume that, all right? And guess what happened? It's still 20x. It still did really, really well. Because if you understand what token unlocks actually mean and do for a coin, especially its price action, you won't be afraid by them. Some of them are bad, but some of them aren't. Okay, now one I will mention in this video is grim and is bad, so just definitely pay attention to that. But this video was actually inspired recently by this gentleman over here on Twitter. So make sure, guys, follow me on Twitter and comment down below underneath my videos. I read the comments and I will make videos on genuine concerns you have. Best place to get me is obviously the private community, links down below. But Jacob said on Twitter, video on Ondo and how to play the inflation dump that's coming up in January. Por favor. And I said, no problem, mate, absolutely. So here we are, okay? Now, the thing is, guys, I want to start off with Celestia, right? We'll get into Ondo in a second. So Celestia, you can see you have overlaid the price action, but I've done this for a specific reason. This massive unlock here, coming up here again very, very soon, end of this month, is not going to double the supply, but it's most definitely going to have a massive dent in it. But it doesn't matter how big the unlock is. It matters who gets the tokens. Let me say that again. It doesn't matter how large the unlock is. It could 10 times its supply overnight. It matters where those new tokens are being given to. That's all that matters, okay? So let's take optimism. The reason I pull up optimism, I'll get rid of the price for a second here. And if I zoom all the way out again, you can see here, this unlock that occurred way back here, actually, it was, what, mid last year? It's pretty much the same as Celestia. Why is it the same as Celestia? Well, because it was a massive unlock for one, and two, all of the new tokens went specifically to venture capitalists. The guys like me and you, but are firms with much more money to move the market. They have an obligation to make money for their investors that give them the money to invest. So you have to make money. Now, if I reignite the price here, you can see what actually happened, right? I've pulled this up many times before, but not on token unlocks. You can see what actually happened here was there was a massive sell-off before the actual unlock itself. This is all retail panic. This is all people like you and I panicking because we're anticipating the unlock. And on the day of the unlock, guess what? It actually went up a little bit. You can't quite see it here. I do apologize. I normally like to pull this up on TradingView, but it actually went up a little bit on the day. This doesn't account for that, but it did. And then it went sideways for a bit. Then it dumped, and then it came up again. It essentially looked like a massive sink, right? Down like a trough, right? Down, sideways, and up again. And then it went sideways and sideways, sideways. And then, of course, the bull run began to pick up, and it was all off to the races. Everything was fine and forgotten, as typical with crypto. We have amnesia, right? So I think the same thing is going to happen here with Celestia, because almost always we have a sell-off. Please write this down if you have a pen and paper in your hand. Almost always we have an anticipation sell-off before an unlock. Think of it like this, on the flip side of things. When there's a massive bullish event, what happens? Most of the time, people buy in anticipation because that news is coming up. It's good news. People are expecting it, like the Bitcoin halving, for example, like BlackRock announcing something, and then everyone buys in. Okay, so it's a complete flip because it's anticipated that this is a bad thing, that token unlocks are a bad thing for the price. It's diluting the value. And this is an easy misconception to have because, again, we are conditioned to think this is pretty much the exact same as the real world where, you have the Fed printing money, for example, right? Increasing inflation. Okay, and of course, we know that Bitcoin and other markets move up and down in anticipation for this. Now, we don't know beforehand the actual news itself, right? What's going to actually happen with these FOMC meetings? If they are going to increase the basis points by 25, by 50, by 75, or therefore decrease as well. We don't know until the meeting occurs. But we have things like the CME market, right? The CME group here predicts, based on what is spoken about so far, what is likely to happen, increases or decreases to the rate cuts. Again, with probabilities here, not certainty, probabilities, okay? And so we consider this, again, we have no actual way of for sure knowing whether it, for example, might go down 25 or 50 basis points, or maybe it shocks everyone and goes up or down. Okay, so what I'm sort of saying here in this case is this, right? We can't see when the Fed will cut or hike interest rates, but the market always reacts to the highest probability before the announcement. So let me just say that again. What we can do is anticipate, so buy in, because we expect the interest rates to come down. So we're like, yes, this is great. But on the day, if it doesn't give us the same expectation, or it actually does the opposite, panic ensues on the day, okay? So imagine if we had a roadmap for exactly what the rate would be at a given time in the future, aka how much money would be printed at a given time. We could forecast what's going to happen, of course. If we knew that they're going to, drop interest rates for sure, certainty over the next, let's just say 12 months, and it was going to go down to a nice flat 2% interest rate, hey, buy in, everyone get in. It's going to go up for sure, right? Or it's one variable we don't have to worry about anymore, okay? And better yet, imagine if we knew exactly where each dollar was going, theoretically, okay? And the likelihood those dollars will be spent or entered into circulation, so to speak. So that's kind of a bit of a bastardized explanation towards the end there, of course. But you know what I'm sort of saying with crypto, we know where these tokens are actually going. We know when they're going to be released and exactly what day and who they're going to. So again, given this information, we can forecast what's going to happen in the future. So I'm sorry for the really long explanation. I know some of you are probably thinking to yourselves, well, this makes sense now. Thank you for explaining it. What does this really mean for crypto? Well, what this means for crypto is it's always a reaction usually before the event. The event on the day is usually the opposite, right? So we come back over here to, optimism itself. Okay, this unlock here, yes, sell-offs did occur, but it moved sideways for a bit. The reason why we had this trough, and I apologize, it's so small here, guys. The reason we had this trough soon after the actual unlock itself was because all of the people getting their tokens, this unlock actually occurring here, was actually what I call third parties, which are people who don't have to warn the market, warn the tier holders or the optimism holders that we're going to sell, guys. They don't have to do that, okay? They just sell because they want to make some money. They're third parties. And so in this case, the third parties did decide to take profit, all right? The guys that got into these early rounds over here, because they were up significantly. Why not? Why not take some profit? It comes down, it moves sideways. They likely bought themselves up again because they put more of a position in, and they're smart to do that because guess what, guys? These projects, these companies, these VCs, they can't kill the projects they're getting all their tokens in immediately. If they just dumped all of their Celestia, look at all the rest of the tokens they're missing out on. They're missing out on so much more token opportunity. They're missing out on so much more value. They are stupid if they tank the price when they get those first tokens. Yes, they are up significantly. Like, these guys are up astounding amounts of money right now, and the markets are down, and these guys are up 500x still. But guess what? If they won't entirely screw themselves over, there will be a point in time, though, where they will definitely take a lot of profit off the table. We have to be realistic when we sell. But what I'm saying is, again, just understand who has these tokens. So in the case of Celestia, all that being said, yes, 110%, guys, this unlock will be very similar to optimism. It'll likely sell before, because it's a big bad unlock. Even if the unlock was going to, like, let's say the ecosystem funding rounds in the treasury, which won't sell straight away, people will still sell. So we can anticipate that beforehand. And then what will happen is it probably will go sideways for a little bit on the day and likely fall down into a trough again. Pretty severe trough, I would expect, but nothing to kill the entire sentiment around the token. I can almost tell you that for certain. And the next one here is Ondo. This is going back to the original question over here from Mr. Jacob. And the question is a lot more obvious, in my opinion, for the likes of Ondo, because it is very much the exact same as Pth. So Pth, if you guys remember, we called this in the private community, very, very easy. You know, if the market hadn't kept going down, it would have been a great DCA opportunity, which I know some of you guys got into anyway, but it's a very, very similar chart to Ondo, okay? But again, it depends on who these tokens go to. So the unlock itself actually over doubled the supply. And if we actually remove all of these, you know, non-third parties, right? So the ecosystem funding round and the people who aren't likely to sell straight away, so the treasury and so on. If we go ahead and remove those, so protocol development, publisher rewards, ecosystem grants, the unlock itself was only going to private sales in a very small amount. We can get rid of the community and, the community and launch, because that's just a flatline airdrop. So really, this is the unlock here, okay? So the unlock was quite small, irrespective to everything else that was getting their tokens. Look at this. Okay, again, very small, right? A small little gray slither on the top. So, guys, this didn't actually impact anything. That's why on the day of the event, it actually pumped. So it sold off beforehand. And again, I apologize for not being large here. So it actually sold off before the event itself. Yes, market conditions weren't good. You can see how it wicked down and wicked straight back up again, because guess what? Nothing happened, right? We bought the dip because retail got scared. And then, of course, it came down because the market conditions pulled it down further. Just typical market, right? So I believe Ondo will be the exact same as that, because if we actually remove all of the non-third parties, right? So ecosystem growth, they won't sell straight away, protocol development, and the community all has their tokens, it's a small slither as well. So let's put these back in again. You can see how small that slither actually is. See that there on the top compared to the others? Yeah, it's still somewhat significant, but it's spread across a lot of investors, okay? It's not as though they're all like one big investor that's just going to dump all at once. So you can understand this. And again, usually always, retail doesn't know any better. They'll sell beforehand, and we can buy the dip. And I believe that, you know, if it's a bullish condition, there will be a slight dip, get in cheaper, and we'll continue up. That's my personal opinion, again, based on not just Pth, but many others as well. Now, I want to also briefly mention those of you who consider FDV, right, fully diluted value. And that's taking all the tokens basically into consideration from the very start. So we'll go back to Near Protocol over here just because it's easier. And I'll get rid of the price. So FDV, let's say we'd stay over here at, 300 million tokens unlocked. Okay, we're way back in 2021. All right. Now, it's very easy to think, okay, well, the max tokens are 1 billion. So guess what? That's a 3x dilution. So therefore, we're going to have 3 times the amount of demand buying up Near Protocol tokens to stay the same price. That's what FDV means. And in this case, it's wrong because, guys, for example, we don't think to ourselves, okay, well, there's no point in living tomorrow if the sun's going to eventually expand and blow up the universe or, our solar system. It's not going to happen for another 1 billion or 2 billion years. It's in the future, okay? So what I'm sort of saying here is FDV takes in the fully diluted value at the very end of the token vesting schedule, which for something like Ondo, for example, if I just zoom back out again, isn't until literally like almost 2030. So what we need to do instead is, rather than taking the fully diluted value, because we're not holding our tokens until then, or at least I'm not, you guys can do whatever you want to do with your tokens. The latest we're likely to sell our tokens, the latest, I think, is December 2025. So we need to be considering the diluted value at December of 2025 latest. So that's when you can take in, for Ondo, for example, there's only going to be one large unlock between now and then. And guess what? These are investors, these are private seller rounds. they're going to have to wait all the way until 2029 to get all of their tokens. They only have one unlock for this cycle. Fantastic. So that's actually a very bullish thing for Ondo. So I want to make that very, very apparent. The likes of Wormhole, for example, here, same situation. If we get rid of all these non-third parties, big shout out to token unlocks, by the way. They make this so much easier for us. Of course, so ecosystem and incubation, foundation treasury, the community and launch is airdrops. We definitely include those. Core contributors, we include those. Strategic network participants include those. And nodes, we can remove those. So you can see here, the only unlock we really have until December 2025 is this unlock over here, okay, which ain't that important, ain't that big. Yes, it's getting money to the VCs, sure. Okay, this is April next year. But again, it's not going to significantly impact the project, I do believe. They will sell 100%, but they're not going to kill the token either. Because again, remember the thesis, if they kill the token, they're missing out on all those, the most of their gains, basically, right? So they're incentivized to keep the project somewhat alive until then. It's very important, guys. I can't stress this enough. You hear me talk about this, network, strategic participants and blah, blah, blah. You might not know what that means. Most of us don't know what that means. Matter of fact, I don't know what that means half the time. But the way I figure it out is Googling Wormhole or your project's tokenomics. When you do that, it only comes up to a page like this. If the project's half decent, it'll have a page like this. Scroll down. You don't have to be technical with it. Just figure out what the different entities are. So what are Guardian nodes? Read about them. Will these guys sell their tokens? Well, no, because they're incentivized to pull their tokens in to get more of a chance to secure the network and so on, right? Community and launch, who are these guys? Oh, they're airdrop guys. Little pro tip here for you all that don't know this. Airdrop participants, airdrop reward participants are the worst kind of people to see on an investing schedule because they don't have any reason to hold the token. They got in likely because of a, sort of competition. They got some free tokens. They want to make some free money. That's all it is. So they're likely to sell the most. So we definitely consider these guys as third parties. Core contributors, who are these guys? You read this sort of stuff and you get a very good idea on what it is. Hell, the foundation treasury, the actual treasury that goes behind supporting Wormhole from the team, this might even be considered a third party if they specify in here that we're going to sell our tokens to support the, get USDT to support the project on a regular basis, like XRP does with their escrow of 1 billion tokens every month. They sell a large chunk of those pretty regularly to fund the project, which is fine, but you have to know about it, right? It's all about knowledge. Aether, this looks daunting and scary if you look at FDV, kind of like Near Protocol's example before, all right? But again, we're selling in 2025 if we remove the non-third parties, checkers, ecosystem, and leave these three. It's a very weird looking chart, sure, but again, December 2025, we're over here. Latest. Okay, so yeah, admittedly, there is a bit of an unlock to still occur, but what's great to see is that you can see the team here don't start getting their tokens until likely after the bull run, okay, which is a good sign for me. They're not going to dump the token, okay? Yeah, they can probably do that through, inconspicuous ways via the ecosystem and things like that, but I highly doubt it. I highly doubt it because they'll be going to jail for sure, okay, for a quality project like this. So these things you can look at, of course, layer 0 is probably one of the best I've ever seen. If this chart's accurate, guys, layer 0's looking solid, right? They don't start unlocking tokens over here until June 2025. And by December, there's a bit of an unlock to still come, but we're stagnant until then. It's great. But if you come to layer 0's chart on CoinMarketCap, and you look at the supply being 11% out and how high the FDV is, $4 billion versus $400 million, going to have to 10x. That seems so bad. But it's not anywhere near going to happen like that, okay? Again, we're not talking about the sun expanding and destroying the universe. That's going to happen let's actually have a look. When is this going to happen, right? This isn't going to happen until September 2027. We're going to sell over here. Most of the unlocks aren't going to even be around when we have any investment in the project. So I hope this makes sense, guys. Just understand, I'm not taking shots at anyone here for not understanding this. This is something that I kind of grasped myself over the last maybe 12 months, maybe 18 months myself. I've been in crypto for over 4 years now, right? So it didn't come to me very easily. I had to sort of break this all down myself and begin questioning these things. And I hope that we can come together as a community, especially the No BS community, and encourage other people to learn about this. I'll be the first person to put my hand up and say, hey, I oversaw something or I was wrong or whatever, but I've backtracked this with a lot of guys who are very, clued into tokenomics, and they're all like, yeah, it's true. It's how it is. We have to teach the regular retail market what this is. It's going to make you money, and it's going to save you a hell of a lot of stress, and make sure you buy the right coins. Thank you all. Talk to you all soon. Take good care. Bye-bye.